Hey movie lovers, Jonathan here, and I'll be listing off my picks for the worst movies of 2016. Now this list is going to go in order of release date, so let's get started with The Forest. On paper, this movie had an incredible premise being set in the inherently frightening suicide forest in Japan. The movie starts strong, intriguing me and investing me in the mystery of Natalie Dormer's missing twin sister. But then things start getting really confusing and they start making plot twists just for the sake of shock value, but those twists don't pay off at all. The movie is incredibly anticlimactic and it left me very unsatisfied and frankly, very bored. Next is Gods of Egypt. Now, I must confess I didn't actually see this movie, but I didn't have to know that it was gonna be terrible because the trailer spoke for itself. And, according to the Rotten Tomato reviews, I wasn't wrong. I was also instantly turned off by the fact that in a movie set in Egypt about Egyptian gods, they didn't cast anybody in the movie, any actors in this movie from that region. Hollywood, you gotta stop doing that, man. Come on. Haven't you learned from the past? This doesn't work anymore. Also, if your movie is gonna be mostly CGI, then that CGI better be good. Invest some money in some CGI that is not worthy of network television. Now let's talk about London Has Fallen. Olympus Has Fallen surprised me. It turned out to be a lot better than expected, and it was a lot better than White House Down, which came out that same year. The sequel, however, was tailor-made to be direct to DVD, and it just felt incredibly forced. This is the perfect example of a movie that does not need a franchise. It doesn't need a sequel, it should be just one-off. Olympus Has Fallen was fine, leave it alone. It had every action movie cliche you could think of.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Bugs the hell out of me.
Which is fine when you're making a movie like The Expendables. Otherwise, And it was patriotic to a fault. Get this, in London, who must be saved above all else? None other than the US president.
What do you want?
Your president.
Get over yourself. This isn't a franchise movie. Sorry. Now let's talk about Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. A lot has already been said about this movie, and we've talked about it a lot on our podcast, so I'm just gonna go ahead and narrow it down to these 2 points. 1, when your title hypes your main event, give us your main event. Don't give us 2 hours of exposition and then 10 minutes of Batman vs. Superman. It doesn't really work out that way. And second, don't give away every potentially exciting plot point in your movie's trailer. Wonder Woman would have been a really nice surprise had we not seen her in the trailer or had we not known that she was in this movie. Doomsday would have been a really awesome twist had we not seen him in the trailer. And then don't spoil your main event by revealing what happens at the end of that main event. Hey guys, let's all be friends, yay! No. Now let's talk about Independence Day Resurgence. Now, the first Independence Day to me was an instant sci-fi classic. It had groundbreaking special effects, characters that you can emotionally invest in, and it had an awesome plot, a thrilling plot, with a sprinkle of a message of unity. Independence Day Resurgence, however, was a lazy sequel. Absolutely did not need to happen. And it was completely forgettable. It had throwaway characters, the plot was lazy and recycled. It just honestly was not worth the time. Please, let's not make another one. Leave it where it is. Nobody wanted the second one anyways. Move on. Now let's talk Suicide Squad. Just like Batman vs. Superman, we've already talked a lot of trash on this movie, so I'm just gonna sum up my thoughts by saying that in comparison to the other DC titles, Suicide Squad was actually a lot of fun. That being said, the story was weak as hell, and the epic boss battle conclusion really made the whole thing overall a very disappointing experience. If you want to see what this movie should have been like, check out Assault on Arkham, which is DC's animated Suicide Squad movie. Hopefully, Suicide Squad 2 is a lot more like that one and has a much better plot that isn't written by a teenager. Or so it seems. Next up on the list is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, I hate to say this, but I feel like Tim Burton is past his storytelling prime. The first act of the movie, I was sold. I was intrigued. I was engaged. I wanted more. The second act started getting confusing, and it was all exposition. All of it exposition. Then the final act was a major letdown. Overall, this movie was slow, it was filled with plot holes, and it was very, very unsatisfying, which is the same way I felt walking out of Tim Burton's latest movies. Sorry, man. Next up on the list is Ouija, Origin of Evil. I had high hopes for this movie from the beginning because, well, first of all, it had an incredibly stylized look. It looked like a movie right out of the 60s. It even had that noisy film grain look. And also it had a clever plot revolving around a fake medium and her family, which they were all really likable. And it was pretty damn scary, which is good. But then it was ruined by its overly convenient and unbelievable plot and its stupid resolution. It ended in such a stupid way. I've always said there are few things worse than a prequel sequel, but unfortunately, this movie did not prove me wrong. And then last and actually least, there's Assassin's Creed. This movie had such an incredibly promising cast, which was wasted by a completely incoherent story. It was all flash and no substance, good action with a hardly there plot. The entire movie, I felt as though I had missed something, or some things, really. I just gotta ask myself, why is it so hard to make a video game adaptation that's good? Just keep it simple, people, that's all. Well, there you have it, my picks for worst movies of 2016. Let us know what you think of my choices down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, check us out on social media at RealTalkOC, and find us on the web at www.realtalkoc.com. Until next time, it's been real.